sleepy. Greetings, fellow people, it is I, Jag, and I am about to make a mistake. My mistake is trying to do a retrospective of all the mainline canonical games of the Metal Gear series. I wanted to do a series overview of something, as I believe having a certain level of consistency in what I'm reviewing may help build continued interest in my videos. While I have enjoyed trying out a few different games, I want to try and see how making a series of videos tightly connected to each other would perform both in terms of viewer engagement and my own standards. I also want to do this as I've never finished a Metal Gear game. I've heard a ton about them and I've sampled a few games, though I've never sat down and played one from beginning to end. Luckily, or unluckily for me, that ends today. For this series, my base plan is to review the MSX games and the Solid games. The video you're currently watching is for the first Metal Gear MSX game. I'll eventually have videos for Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, Peace Walker, and 5. Not entirely sure yet if that's going to be the order I'm going to review them in, as the timeline jumps around. I may also throw in Portable Ops, but I'm not sure, as it seemed that game is contested among people with how canon it is. If requested and these videos do well, I am also willing to look at Metal Gear 2, Snake's Revenge, Ghost Babel, Twin Snakes, Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2, and of course, Rising Revengeance. While that game is technically canonical, it is far from mainline gameplay, and it's after the events of the final mainline game chronologically speaking, so I didn't include it in my base plan. Without further ado, welcome to the average canonical Metal Gear retrospective. We start our journey with a man named Kojima. Yes, how can you talk about Metal Gear without mentioning the big boss per se? If you want a lengthy documentary about him and his exploits, I would suggest you look elsewhere. There is so much history about him and his video game journey that I feel I wouldn't be able to do his story justice within a small review time period. In short, Metal Gear for the MSX was the first game he was in charge of. The MSX was a computer system that was quite popular in Asian regions, at least in comparison to North America, where the letters M, S, and X together would mean very little to most people. Kojima, an employee of Konami at the time, wrote the scenario and directed the game, while Konami developed and published the game. It was a stealth action experience where you played the now iconic character, Snake. Snake in these old PC games looks nothing like the iconic character design he's known for now. He's just some random white army guy, but that kinda adds to the charm that, at the time, this was just some random military-related PC game. I'm going to summarize the story of this game, so if you don't want to hear the plot of an 80s PC game, skip to this point in time. The game starts with Snake swimming in and receiving a call from Big Boss. This is an infiltration mission into Outer Heaven, where they are in possession of Metal Gear. Special Forces Unit Foxhound originally sent an agent by the name of Grey Fox to investigate, but when they lost contact with him, they sent Snake to rescue Grey Fox and locate/discover what exactly Metal Gear is. Through his wanderings, he gains intel from prisoners and the Resistance leader, Kyle Schneider, about Grey Fox's whereabouts. Once he makes his way to Grey Fox describes Metal Gear as a bipedal tank capable of launching nuclear weapons.
That's no good.
The creator of Metal Gear is being held somewhere in Outer Heaven. Snake eventually finds the creator, Dr. Petrovic, though he won't disclose where or how to defeat Metal Gear unless Snake saves his daughter, Ellen. Once Snake rescues Ellen and makes his way back to Petrovic's cell, the Doctor informs Snake of Metal Gear's location and how to destroy it. During the final confrontation against Metal Gear, Snake defeats it using explosives on the legs. The threat of Metal Gear has been suppressed, though not without activating a convenient self-destruct feature for the base. Snake is temporarily stopped from his escape by the leader of Outer Heaven and the commanding officer of Foxhound, Big Boss. Yes, it turns out Big Boss only wanted Snake to come in and leave with insufficient information about Outer Heaven and Metal Gear. When Snake overachieved what Big Boss thought he was capable of, he tried to give Snake false information on multiple occasions to stop Snake. Since Snake destroyed Metal Gear and thwarted the boss's plan, Snake has to fight Big Boss. With the help of remote-controlled missiles, Snake is victorious against Big Boss, and he runs away from Outer Heaven with explosions behind him. I couldn't come up with a better ending for an 80s PC game even if I tried. For a series known for its over-the-top, complex, and lengthy narratives, the first game in the series is relatively down-to-earth, simple, and short. While still containing more substance than most game narratives at the time, it can boil down to a guy sneaking into a top-secret facility, finding info and equipment, defeating the threat, and uncovering and dealing with the mastermind behind it all. The gameplay is also simplistic, boiling down to going somewhere to get something, whether intel or equipment, and then going to where the info or equipment is required next. After doing that for a few hours, you'll see the credits roll. Now I'll go on to the specifics. When you start the game, you only have a pack of cigarettes and your communication device. The communication device allows Snake to tune into frequencies to talk with various people, who often give Snake a hand via intel, hints, or unlocking specific doors. Snake can only move in 4 directions, punch, and use a weapon. Snake can't crawl or anything like that, he just kinda stands around, so when he gets spotted, he can't hide under something like he can with most of the other series games. If he gets spotted, the way to deal with enemies is either to run away and hope the enemy forgets you exist, yes, that is a viable strategy in this game, or deal with them by killing all the enemies on screen. The enemies in this game are both straightforward and challenging all at the same time. The enemies suffer from an extreme case of tunnel vision, meaning they won't know you're there if you aren't directly in their limited line of sight. If you do get caught, however, these guys will pour out of every opening they can find and hound you. This game wasn't exactly designed for fast action, and since you can't reliably hide once one enemy finds you and activates the hive mind, it's all very clunky in execution. I know you never want to get caught in a stealth game, though if the only way to deal with getting seen is to suddenly stop being stealthy or just run away and hope they forget about you, then it gets really annoying, though I'll get more to that later. Snake can equip 2 items at any given time, one for weapons and one for other equipment. You can find a pistol, SMG, grenades, rockets, and other fun military paraphernalia that make things go away. For equipment, you can have stuff like the iconic cardboard box, rations, various suits, and other helpful items, and the key cards. It is now at this point where this review will devolve into a rant. I'm going to say it right here, right now. I did not enjoy my time with this game. If I play this game again, I'm sure I wouldn't hate it as much, but as a first-time player, this game was horrendous. So, with the key cards, there are 9 in total, and doors can be opened with one of these specific keys. There is no way to tell what key a door requires, so you have to go up to it and start trying keys. Is it this one? Nope. This one? Nope. Perhaps this one? No. This is an annoyance, but something that can be dealt with. What I can't deal with is how cryptic this game is and how much time you'll naturally waste trying to play the game. If you go into this game blind, you may go into an area, sneak around for around 10 minutes only to realize you need a piece of equipment, a key card, or a weapon to get past a particular obstacle. You'll then have to backtrack and wander around another area. If you find the given item, for all you know, you'll only be able to proceed another 2 minutes further than last time before being stopped again. While saving prisoners and talking on your communication device can give you details on what obstacles are up ahead and what equipment you'll need, they usually only tell you about half of the information you'd like. If you ever see a guide for this game, the order that is most effective for getting things in this game seems so far outside what I would consider naturally intuitive for a first-time player. I tried playing this game without any kind of guide for the first bit, and I was so frustrated at how little progress I was making and how many times I was halted dead in my tracks. I eventually gave up and used a guide for the rest of the playtime. Even when I had that, it was still frustrating. At times, the guide would tell me to do something, and I was shocked that I would have been expected to know some of the things I would have had to have executed. Even a guide, however, couldn't save me from fighting this game's design. If you get spotted in this game because of how the enemies home in on you, you have to either try to run away with stiff 4-directional keyboard controls or try and fight them with rigid 4-direction keyboard controls. The other annoyance is random pitfalls and explodable walls. There is no visual indication about whether or not the floor has a pitfall or if you can destroy a wall. While you can technically tell its breakability via the sound a wall makes when you punch it, punching every square inch of a wall isn't a fun time. If you're unlucky enough to die at any point, you must start back at a checkpoint, the last elevator you used. You must redo many long, boring minutes of walking to a location, waiting forever to sneak past enemy formations and traps, only to get some random MacGuffin that opens to another random MacGuffin on the other side of the map. While dawdling around, this game is sparse in unique tracks, meaning you hear them repeat ad nauseum. And I swear, if I hear Theme of Terra one more time, I will become psychotic. Unfortunately, this all feels like a giant game of back and forward, and honestly, the ending surprised me as I thought the game never built up to anything. It all felt like droning busywork until the game quickly wrapped up and that was that. Some items, however, are tangible in terms of worth, even if they can't save this experience. Hidden through Outer Heaven are prisoners where saving enough of them increases your rank. The higher your level, the more health and ammo you can hold on to at a moment's notice. There are also a few boss fights sprinkled throughout the game, and while they aren't what I would call fun, they are at least something different and straightforward in how you deal with most of them. This game suffers, I think, from being a game that just has not aged well. It could be that I'm just a stupid baby gamer who can't appreciate a real adventure, and if you find this game fun, God bless you. As I said before, if I played this game again, I'm sure I wouldn't die as much, fall into as many bottomless pits, or wander aimlessly around as much, and I could view it kind of like an arcade-like experience, something to quickly pick up and speedrun, though for my money, I'm betting that most newcomers to this game will want a guide if they don't want to get nearly as frustrated as I did initially. I should note that one of the reasons this game left such a bad taste in my mouth was the way I played it. Once again, for playing retro games, I usually try and use the Mr. FPGA as it's a good blend of hardware accuracy as well as ease of recording. I hooked it up to this beast of a PC CRT monitor and started playing. The MSX version of this game never came west, so I used a translation to English which produced some interesting results. Yes, that can range from a guard likely suffering from a sleep paralysis demon, and Big Boss forgetting to tell you things. Imagine you're on a military stealth mission and your commander contacts you on multiple occasions saying there were numerous pieces of information he neglected to tell you because he forgot. The official ways you can play this game in English is to either play the NES version or the version released with Metal Gear Solid 3 HD. The NES version is widely considered inferior, so keep that in mind. Unfortunately, while playing this game, I had multiple crashes because the forces of the universe hate me. Jokes aside, the crashes were caused because of the saving methods I attempted to use. Setting up the MSX was a hassle on the Mister, as it's much more complicated than something like the NES. With the NES core, all you have to do is stick in a game and you're good to go. With a computer system like the MSX, you have to configure the operating system and how the games will be played. This naturally means you have to provide BIOS, system information, and other related things for the Mister to work properly. Setting that up was difficult, though manageable. I was able to play the game, however, saving the game data was full of issues. Apparently, the game was originally designed to be saved on cassettes. And since I don't know how to configure it, or perhaps it's not possible to configure saving onto my SD card through cassette emulation, the game crashed when I first tried to save. After looking online, I found a way that if I emulated an add-on called the Game Master 2, I would be able to save onto the system's emulated drive. Problem solved? Not quite. This method was fraught with issues as well. While I was able to save at basically any time, kinda acting like a really slow save state, it wasn't perfect, and on 3 separate occasions, the save's functionality stopped working in one form or another. If you want to play this game, either emulate it yourself on something that you can do reliable save states, or just play the official releases. I had to redo a lot of ground I had already covered on numerous occasions, which only stimulated my rage towards this game. Also, playing on a keyboard for an extended period on the ground with a beanbag gets quite uncomfortable quickly. I have a couple of suggestions if you have any interest or morbid curiosity about playing this game. Number 1, play this game with your controller of choice. I limited myself to a keyboard because I cared about trying to be authentic. For a game where the controls are as clunky as these, you might as well fight the limited controls with something your hands feel comfortable in. If I ever play this again, I will for sure use a handheld controller. Number 2, play this game with a guide, as it will save you time and your sanity. Number 3, remember, if you go into a room with items, you can immediately go back into the room and grab the same items over and over again. Use this to stock up on ammo and rations whenever you can. 4. If you start hating this game, know that it's only a few hours in length if you follow a guide, or just give up and play a game you actually enjoy. You won't miss much narratively, and you're probably a healthier person for calling it quits when a game like this drives you insane. This was a very disappointing start to the Metal Gear franchise. Again, I could just be a dumb baby boy who can't play video games, though I've seen enough people online share many of the opinions I have toward this game. Some tamer and some even more enraged than where I stand with the game. In my opinion, if you want to experience the Metal Gear franchise as a newcomer, I would suggest not playing this game to start. This game turned me off, and I even briefly considered canning this whole retrospective simply because of how much I hated playing the game. If you want to start somewhere, play Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake if you wish to play a flawed but enjoyable time, or jump straight to the big boy, Metal Gear Solid. Have either of those games hook you in, and when you can't escape Kojima's nanomachine-filled world of bipedal tanks, nuclear weapons, ideology, and whatnot, then play this game to say you've played the very original game that started all of this mess. If you are one of the people who liked this game, God bless you, but don't force me to play this game ever again. Luckily, I enjoyed the next entry much more. For the following review, I will play Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake for the MSX. For all of those who made it to the end of the review turned rant, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all tune in next time for the next installment of the average canonical Metal Gear retrospective. Without further ado, I was and am Jag, and I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon. Take care.